I'll try to be extremely brief because you asked me to be extremely brief. So I'll try to be extremely brief. I have a few slides on just a background, and then I tried not to talk about our solution a lot and talk more about the ecosystem. First, regarding efficiency, why do we need efficiency? We're targeting poultry, chickens. If we look at the world population, this is the world population increase over the past many years. As the population increases, this is the production from a chicken perspective. I'm looking at the whole world from a poultry perspective. So as people increase, they eat more chicken. So we need to produce more chicken, and we need to be more efficient at producing chickens. So this is the graph of increase in poultry production and poultry meat and poultry eggs, both of them. And this is another similar graph showing the also not only an increase that's due to population increase, but there is even an increase in the consumer habits. So individual consumers are starting to eat more meat today than they used to 50 years ago or 100 years ago. If we think about how the industry is structured, there is we're talking about an industry that has very tight margins. It's all about optimization. It's all about efficiency. You need to be very efficient. You need to make sure that you produce more meat per dollar or per cent or per whatever, and you need to be as efficient as possible. It's a highly fragile industry. Chickens are very weak. They die very easily. They get viruses. It's very fragile. And there is it's a very tightly linked value chain. The value chain, it's not like a factory. You can just switch off the power and then you have no more production if there's no demand. It's basically chickens that are laying eggs whether you want them or not. And you have to feed them. You cannot stop the feeding because you don't want more chickens or the market is down or anything. So it's a very tightly linked value chain. So any disruption in any part of the value chain will ripple throughout the whole value chain and will have a tremendous multiplier effect in all the value chain. Another point is food safety. Food safety, we've been hearing about things like the contaminated eggs issue in Europe the past couple of months, having to recall eggs, chlorinated chickens and using chlorine. There are different issues coming up regarding the health and safety. So you need to be able to monitor and to track and trace all the chickens and the feed and all the resources that are used for food safety purposes. This is, it looks bad. Is it visible from? It is. I guess I'm the only one who cannot see it. If we compare chickens, this is in 1957 and this is in 2015. In 1957, this is how the chicken grew. This is in 0 days, this is in 56 days. And today, the chicken has developed, they've become much more efficient. In 0 days, that's the weight. And then it's 4 kilograms instead of less than a kilogram. So chickens have become much more efficient. They're much more efficient in terms of growth. They gain more meat. They eat less compared to what they gain. So there's something called the feed conversion ratio, which is how many kilograms of feed do you need in order to produce one kilogram of meat. So this has become so efficient. The chicken eats basically half of what's required in order to produce the same weight. This has developed over 50 years, over a 50 years time. How was this developed? It's developed using a number of things. It's developed using genetics. A lot of developments have been done in genetics, in poultry genetics, to make the chickens more efficient. The second thing is feed. A lot of development and research has been going in feed, medication, vaccination. In the process itself, a lot of developments have been going in the value chain. In order to do all these developments, you need data. You need to be able to measure things. You need to be able to know whether you're doing good or bad. You need to be able to do experiments and have results. And you need to have benchmarks that you can compare to, and you need to have best practices that you disseminate to people. And the result is we currently have an industry that is relatively mature, very mature. When you buy a chick, you buy a chick with the catalog, and the catalog has very detailed information on what this chick needs. So every day, age 0, age 1, age 2, age 3, every day it tells you how many grams of feed does it require, how many centimeters of water does it drink, how many hours of light does it require, how many lux, how strong is the light, how many chicks per square meter should you place, and all these details. And the nice thing is that you have benchmarks, you have standards. You can compare to the standards, and you can start optimizing and enhancing. So that's basically what we do. We work on the whole value chain. We have a service that is catering to companies operating in the whole value chain. I'm not going to get into the details of the value chain, but it's not just a chicken that you grow and then it becomes meat. The chickens themselves, the broilers, the meat chickens, they come from eggs. The eggs are hatched in hatcheries, and then the eggs come from other chickens that are called breeders, and the breeders come from grandparents. And each one of them, the difference, they're all chickens, but the difference is basically in how they're genetically selected and the performance of each chicken genetically. We have a solution that helps companies manage all the value chain. It helps them by looking at all the KPIs, looking at all the performance, comparing with benchmarks, identifying any variabilities in performance, and sending alerts if there are issues that need to be addressed. It helps them plan, it helps them disseminate their plan, do the actions, follow up on the actions, and do a lot of monitoring and evaluation. What we do also, we are data analytics people. So we do a lot of work in data analytics. We do a lot of analysis. We help them by comparing with the standards, by showing them, trying to help them identify where the issues are. One thing that we also have is regarding technology. I'm just curious, how many people here are techies, are from tech background? Okay, so only, okay. We're using something. Does anyone know what deep learning is? Machine learning, artificial intelligence? Okay. Okay. It's basically a way. It's a way that you basically teach the computer learns by itself. The traditional programming is programmers tell computers what to do, but using machine learning, the models, the computers, they can learn on their own and they can start applying what they learned. So we've built machine learning models that can forecast chicken performance, and we've reached 92% accuracy in forecasting how chickens will perform in the future. That's one thing. Currently we're operating in. We have installations in. We have a few installations in Egypt, but we also have in South Africa. We have installations in Turkey and the U.S. and we have installations in different companies, and we're doing also trials with the biggest genetics company in the world in their trial facilities. One of the byproducts of what we do is traceability. Traceability, as I've mentioned, is a very important thing. You buy a chicken and it's in the freezer, but the chicken has come from a slaughterhouse, and before being slaughtered, it was a chicken in a broiler farm, and before it went to the broiler farm, it was an egg that hatched in a hatchery, and then the egg came from a breeder farm, and then the whole thing. So we have a traceability system that links everything together, and if you, for example, if you have a frozen chicken from the supermarket and try to check the information, you enter the code, and then if you click on broilers, you will see all the history of the chicken that you're eating when it was in the broiler farm. You will see exactly what kind of feed did it eat, from which suppliers, and which specific batch numbers, and what expiration dates, everything. You will see all the different KPIs, the FCR, PEF, there are technical poultry KPIs. you will see all the indicators. So basically, you know the whole life cycle of this chicken. And there is a timeline there that's showing all the different vaccinations that were applied, the medications that it took, everything, all the different, everything that happened to the chicken there. If, for example, you want to know how was it transported, you will see that the chicken, when it was live, it was transported. This batch of chicken was transported in 4 trucks, because chickens are different. Chickens are not like big animals. You don't track each individual cow, for example. You do track in cows. But in chickens, you track them as a flock. So in this case, it says that it was transported in 4 trucks. Each truck, it will show you the driver name, the license number, the receiving temperature, outside temperature, the number of live birds and dead birds that were received. So you know what happened in transit when they were alive. And if you go to the slaughterhouse, it will show you also different slaughterhouse indicators, whether it was water chilled or air chilled, and the chlorine percentage, the air speed, everything, all the different parameters. Chlorine, is there anyone from UK? Chlorinated chickens apparently is an issue that is the UK Parliament is discussing currently regarding chlorine. Another thing that we're currently looking at is putting all the information on a blockchain. The information is currently accessible and usable when you're an integrator. But integrators, this limits it to very large companies who are integrators. Currently, actually all of our customers are big integrators. But to make it span different organizations so that you can track the information across organizations, we believe that blockchain will help make this more possible. Regarding adoption barriers, since a number of people have raised adoption issues, one thing is infrastructure. We deploy at farms, and farms are usually located in remote locations where internet connectivity is not good. So one of the things that we had to do is the system had to be able to operate and function perfectly in a disconnected mode. So whether you're online or you're offline, you will be able to use the system, and whenever it's back up again, it will synchronize. That's how it works. Without this, it would have never worked. Another thing is basically the normal cloud thing, the CapEx. We sell it in a cloud model, which removes the initial capital investment that has to be made. We also take care of all the technology, the servers. You don't need to buy servers, install networks, take care of software, do backups, anything. We do everything. And we've invested a lot of time in making sure that the system is extremely, extremely easy to use. Regarding the question that has come up a number of times regarding illiterate people or people who cannot use computers, apparently even illiterate people, they can use WhatsApp for some reason. I think we need to redefine what illiterate is. But everybody can use WhatsApp. Everybody can use Facebook. So anybody who can use a smartphone should be able, this is easier than Facebook. This is easier than WhatsApp. So our value proposition, a part of it is, if you're deploying this at your farms, get the farmers, we train them in 30 minutes. They will be up and running and using the system. 30 minutes training time. It's extremely simple, very easy to use, very visual, in order to make it as easy as possible to use. Another lesson learned, we started, again, we are a data analytics company, so we put everything we can possibly do. We had multi-dimensional OLAP cubes and analysis and everything. And then we were showing this to customers, and then they like all the simple features and nice. This thing, we don't want it. And then, you don't want it? This is the best thing. And then, this is a lesson learned. Technology is not always, as I think as Maggie has said, and as Dora has said, is not always the goal. It's only a tool. You should only use technology in a way that enables and empowers people. It's not the goal. This is the best thing. We've developed it, but then we removed it because people they see it overly complicated, and it impacts how they see the solution. Some advice, as you've mentioned, the agile, the iterative approach, this is essential. You have to be with the customers, with the users. You cannot develop something using a classical waterfall model. You cannot develop something and then assume that this will be useful for users, even if users tell you this. You have to develop small bits and pieces, and not just try them, not just try them. You give them to the user to use, and then you grow them. You incrementally add features as they start using them. Because in many cases, users will tell you that they want something, but when they do it, they will discover that this is not what they wanted. Or they'll discover other features that they want. That's the normal thing. So the first word of advice is be as close to the users as possible. Use agile and iterative development, that's important. Don't make assumptions. We started as a tech company, we are doing the data analytics and everything, and the start was, we are going to integrate with all the sensors and collect all the data and put it online and do the analysis and everything. And then we started developing the solution. We went to the customers, telling them, this is the solution, we can integrate with the sensors and everything, and then they said, okay, that's good, but our systems are not integratable. So when we buy systems that are integratable, we will call you. So we've discovered that even very large companies are using legacy systems that are not integratable. So you have to be lean with regards to how you can suit the conditions at the customer's place. Don't assume that everything is doable. Don't assume that the top technology will always be needed or acceptable. You have to be able to gauge basically what the users can use or may use or need to use and select that. More technology is not always good. Giving them very sophisticated, multi-dimensional OLAP cubes and drill down facilities and everything is not good. And ease of use is the key. Ease of use. Developing something that an illiterate person can use is the key. So that's basically, I think that's the last thing. You've asked me to say things about the journey. I don't know if yeah, okay, great. So that's, if anybody has questions.
Maybe we'll do the presentations.
Okay, sure, great.